Welcome to my channel. My name is White Eagle. Today we are going to talk about conscious effort in Gnosis. Master Samael says, it is obvious that in order to fabricate a philosophical stone, we need to eliminate the undesirable elements that we carry in our interior, the entity of the ego. One could not, in truth, fabricate the stone without the elimination of the ego. The work, as such, is difficult but not impossible. Effort is needed, that is obvious. But there are two types of effort. There exist mechanical effort and conscious effort. An example of mechanical effort, for example, is the one done by people in a circus. They exert a series of efforts that are good for nothing, absurd. Conscious effort is different. In order for a conscious effort to exist, there must be a definite purpose and full understanding of what one wants to achieve. It is not enough to know or study, let's say, the body of the doctrine. That is one part, but it is not all. We must reach a union of the doctrine, let's say, of the knowledge with the being. When the being and the knowledge are integrated, then conscious effort is born. Now my words, when to know and to be are joined, the result is the conscious effort that sprouts from inside each one of us. Now in video 21, close your eyes and hear the voice of God. I stated that another factor is to obey your intuition. That voice of the intuition emanates from your being inside each one of you, from your essence, your consciousness. So every time you obey that voice, at first we may not understand why, but later comes the knowledge, the understanding of a situation that previously we did not know. The more we obey, the more we learn, and out of this learning, our trust or confidence grows that we are treading the right path and we are doing the right thing according to God's will. Now, but if you cannot hear the voice of your intuition, then resort to right thought, right action, and right feeling technique that I taught on video number 62. Please watch again these two videos. Now let's go back to what Master Samael says. Without question, the essence or consciousness, which is the same thing, sleeps deeply. The essence in itself is very beautiful. It came from above, from the stars. Lamentably, it is smothered deep within all these eyes we carry inside. By contrast, the essence can retrace its steps, return to the point of origin. That is to say, go back to the stars. But first, it must liberate itself from its evil companions, who have trapped it within the slums of perdition. Human beings have 3% of free essence, and the other 97% is imprisoned within the eyes. Right? This is from the book The Great Rebellion. Now, my words, when we apply conscious efforts, then the ego dies and a small amount of trapped essence, our consciousness, is liberated. And here I put a picture taken from video number 40 about how to kill the ego, and you imagine the process of the ego dying. Yeah, so there you have the first image, the ego. The essence is trapped inside. We hammer it, we ask the Divine Mother to kill it, and then the essence is getting liberated, and finally the essence is freed, and it goes back to, our own essence. It goes augmenting. So our consciousness goes augmenting. Now my words again. The being has 3 parts from bottom to top: the essence, the monad, and the logos. The essence trapped inside the egos of the lunar bodies is only a fraction of the being. The monad is the unit inside us that we must incarnate. When we climb the mountains and reach the third mountain free from egos, then we are able to incarnate our monad, the first triangle, Atman, Buddhi, Manas. Finally, we incarnate the second logoic triangle, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Now I'm going to show you some pictures about this. Now this is the first picture. You already know it. What I want to show you is this. Here are the lunar bodies. So imagine that the essence is inside here and is trapped among the egos, yes, and is to be liberated. Yeah, and that's when you start the process of the first mountain. You turn the lunar bodies into solar bodies. You create the superior existential bodies of the being. Then on a second level, on the second mountain, you will be filling those bodies with gold, and then you will be able to incarnate the first triangle, which is Atman, Buddhi, and Manas. And finally, the second triangle, the logoic triangle. So the whole thing, they are parts of the being. I'm going to show you another picture. Now here I have the drawing of the Kabbalah tree, and again the parts of the being. As I said, there are three parts: the bodies of sin, which was the square in the previous drawing, yes, the dark bodies of sin, then the first triangle, which is the monad, and the logoic triangle, which is the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So the whole of it, if you finished all this work, then you will have integrated the whole being inside yourself. Now we continue with Master Samael saying, how do we know that a person possesses knowledge? Or better said, that a person has real comprehension? I will tell you that from the union of the being and knowledge, comprehension arrives. It is actually comprehension, the means that connects the to be and to know. A person can have knowledge, but if he has not joined that knowledge with the being, well, he will not have comprehension. So how do we know that a person has the knowledge but does not have comprehension? The answer is very easy. The one who only carries knowledge, he or she only repeats such knowledge. The knowledge has been only memorized. Yes, and now I put between parentheses, to memorize something perfectly, so it can be written, recited, or performed without thinking. But if we ask such a person, the one who has only memorized the knowledge, to present such knowledge in different ways and from different angles in a spontaneous and natural way, he or she cannot do it. He will repeat, more or less, what he has accumulated in the memory, and that is all. But whosoever owns the comprehension can speak of any part of the doctrine in a conscious way and present it from different angles. Why? Because such a person has acquired comprehension, has arrived at the comprehension, and this comprehension comes, as I already told you, from the union of the being and knowledge. That is clear. But how could we arrive at such union? By means of the power of yearning, through inspiration. Only in this way we could join the being and the knowledge. When someone comprehends the teachings, then he or she can really work in a conscious way and make conscious efforts to be able to create the philosophical stone. That is obvious. The mechanical efforts are useless. Now my words. This is why I give the Gnostic teachings in an easy way for people to apprehend or grasp the meaning, and from there you are the one to want to exert conscious efforts with your heart in order to achieve liberation. Now Master Samael continues and says, it has been said daily that we must eliminate the dry mercury, the egos. That is obvious, but the work must be done in a conscious way. The efforts must be conscious. We must not put efforts when it is not necessary, nor must we make efforts beyond necessary. When our efforts become mechanical, then our efforts become useless, and that is something we must never forget. Now he speaks about the force of alchemy. By means of a shock, we transmute that force inwards and upwards. If we do neither, if we only retain the sexual potency in our glands, the result will be that the sexual secretions in the woman or the sacred sperm of the man involute, degenerate. How do we know that the sacred sperm has involuted and degenerated? We can see this happening in certain medieval monks, some of them too obese, others terribly skinny. As regards the psychological characteristics of such monks are well known. Externally, extreme fanaticism. Intimately, expert cynicism. These monks used to send people to burn in bonfires. They were terribly fanatics, and after committing the crime, they were horrible, cynical people. There you see the characteristics that the involution of sex, the involution of the sacred sperm or sexual secretions result in people, and this is very clear on its own. Now, the elimination of the ego. Now, transmutation alone would not be enough. This has to be accompanied of the elimination of the undesirable elements we carry in our interior. Effort is needed to be able to eliminate such undesirable elements, but we speak of the right effort, that is, conscious effort, not mechanical effort, that is good for nothing. There is the need that the emotional center works, for one, to be able to achieve something useful, as the mind on its own, the cold intellect, wanting to work, one achieves nothing. Therefore, people must put emotion in the work. It is not about an intellectual or mechanical work. This is worthless. Now here I give you again another picture from video number 40 about someone making a conscious effort when killing his ego or her ego. Yes, so I advise you to watch video number 40 again. Now my words. Master Samael speaks about the spiritual work of elimination of the ego must be done in a conscious way when we do the petition to our Divine Mother, not a parrot repetition, which is a mechanical effort and kills no egos in us. Okay? Now Master Samael continues. All work must be done with emotion. There must be emotion, there must be yearning, there must be ambition. Where will the willpower come out from? It has to come out from the emotional center. Willpower can't come out from the intellectual center. If we analyze the intellectual center, it has two aspects, the positive and the negative, the comparative process when there is an election, the analytical process, the logic confrontation, etc. The intellectual center has two poles. Positive is the yes, negative is the no. But what gives real value to the esoteric work is the emotional center. This center is the one that values the work, and from this emotional center, the conscious will comes forth and allows us to do the spiritual work. Now my words. My advice for you here, if you are walking the path, is not to listen to the mind. Neither its positive yes nor its no or negative side or polarity. If you are to go beyond the mind, surpass your own mind, if you are to ascend and enter the mental plane along the path, then you will have to overcome your own mind, which will be your worst enemy and obstacle to defeat. Master Samael speaks about going beyond our minds, going beyond what is right or wrong, good or bad, because sometimes what is good is actually bad in a given situation, and what is bad is actually good in a given situation. So how do we know the good from the bad and the bad from the good at every step? How do we go beyond right and wrong? Not with our minds, not with moral rules, only by obeying your intuition. Attach yourself to that voice along with your actions in the world, and you will go beyond the good and the bad and will not fail any test on your way. That's my advice. Now here I show you an image where the 5 cylinders of the human machine are located: the intellect, the emotional center, motor instinct, and the sexual center. In Gnosis, they are also called the 3 brains, yes, because they are divided into 3 groups.